welcome back to my channel. Y'all should be saying that to me because I've been going for mad long. This is Nana Chats. Let's talk cold calls. 5% of lawyers are black. Ground. It is okay for you to open up and swallow me now. I wanted to die. It's my padfolio. You see it? You see it? The judge was yelling, the prosecution was yelling, the defense was yelling, like everybody was yelling.
My story, man.
Okay, so first I'd like to say, yeah, I've been gone for a really long time. I was in Ghana for a month and 2 weeks and it was amazing. I did record a couple of videos of some places that we went and I'm deciding on whether I want to post them, and if I do post them, if I'm going to make them like a vlog, multiple vlogs, or just put like my Ghana trip in one video. I think that would be better than multiple really short videos, because it's not like I vlogged. I'm really bad at vlogging. But I'll probably do that. And if y'all want a life update, let me know, because it's been a while. I haven't spoken to you guys in a while. But today we're going to be talking about cold calls. I got a request recently to do this video in my comment section. Somebody watched my cold call fail video and asked about how to, I guess, tackle cold calls, or just do a video dedicated solely to cold calls. So this is the video solely about cold calls. I'm going to try to help you to approach being cold called in a better way so that you can answer appropriately. You feel me? All right, cool. So I'm gonna give about 6 tips regarding how to better approach cold calls, how to kill it when you're cold called, how to not be nervous, stuff like that. So let's get straight into it. Tip number 1 for me would be take a breath. Okay, well, first of all, what happens to us is we sit in class, we can tell when the professor's about to cold call us, right? So we're like tensing up, right? And the professor's looking around or looking at their sheet of paper. They already know who they're gonna cold call, but they're like, okay, so, and you know they're about to cold call somebody, so you're tensing up. Don't do that tensing up thing. Okay, just get prepared. Be like, okay, if they cold call me, I'm good. I'm smart. I know I'm smart, right? Because when we tense up, we already make it so hard for ourselves, honestly. But yeah, so don't tense up. Take a breath, okay? When you hear your name, Miss O2, Miss whoever, Mr. whoever, get prepared to kill it, all right? Between the time that they call on your name, there's a little bit of time to calm yourself down, because they're going to ask a question. Maybe they'll ask the question before they call your name, and at that point you got to get it together real quick. But if they ask it after they call your name, you have that time to calm down, listen to the question that they're asking you, okay? And then take a breath and think before you answer. Don't just spit out an answer because you're nervous. I've done it before and it's not been a good result. So take that breath. Tip number 2, be prepared. In law school, there's a lot of preparation that has to go into your class readings and stuff like that. So basically you have credit hours and credit hour requirements. So if you're taking a 4-credit class, then I think the ABA recommends that you take you spend 8 extra hours that week outside of class reading and getting prepared for class. So if you're taking 2 4-credit classes, then that's 16 hours outside of class preparing for those 2 classes. This was kind of an issue for me in, I think, my first year. I tried to be as prepared as possible, but I don't think I understood how much time I needed to read 20 pages. I didn't know how to schedule my time accordingly and make sure that I had enough time to truly read and digest all the information. So be prepared. How do you get prepared? Brief your cases. Maybe watch Quimby videos, maybe watch other videos on the topic that you're reading about. I really like Quimby and stuff like that, because Quimby actually has videos on the specific cases. So I read the full case, I take my notes, I brief, And then after I brief, I'll probably watch a Quimby video to make sure that I'm truly understanding the case or what it was actually about. You get what I'm saying? So stuff like that. Going into depth in my case briefs helps me a lot. Now, a lot of people think briefing cases is a waste of time. And if your brain works that way and it is a waste of time for you, then I wouldn't encourage you to like brief cases unnecessarily. But for a lot of us, and myself included, I'm a 2L and I still brief my cases because it really, really helps me break everything down. There's a lot of information in the case books, in these cases that they give, that the professor wants you to know and that you should know to be able to truly understand the topic that you're learning about. So briefing the case really helps. I'll probably do a video about briefing cases right after this. It'll be a short, quick video about how I brief my cases. There are a lot of different ways to brief, but make sure you're briefing and you're being detailed, right? So the arguments that each side is making, the arguments that the court is making, how they're addressing each issue. What is the issue, or what are the issues? What's the rule? How did the court apply that rule? Did they apply this rule when in another case this other rule was applied? Stuff like that. Making sure you actually deep what's in the books. You feel me? And then watching the videos actually helps a lot with that too, to solidify and to clarify some points. So a lot of what we do in law school is learning before class. But that would really help you when you're being cold called, being prepared. Tip number 3. Know your professor. There are so many different types of cold calls, I would say. For example, I had a professor who cold called only for hypos. Maybe they'll take a volunteer to give them the facts of the case and stuff because that's easy. Or the professor themselves would just give the facts of the case. And then for hypos, they would cold call just to make sure that you understood or you were paying attention to what's going on in class. They'll give a hypo and they'll expect you to be able to answer it correctly based off of the cases that you just went over. So some professors do that. Some professors tell you they'll cold call you. Maybe they'll say, okay, today I'm cold calling everybody with the last name that starts with O, right? So you already know that you might be getting cold called on today if your last name starts with an O. Stuff like that. There are some teachers who will cold call only for the facts of the case. And in that case, it's not that nerve-wracking, it's not that scary, it's not that crazy. And if you read the case, then you should be able to tell what the facts of the case are. And they stay on one person for a long period of time. So they'll ask the facts of the case, the ruling, the holding, the reasoning, what did the plaintiffs argue, what did the defendants argue, stuff like that. Procedural history. So knowing your professor is really helpful when it comes to cold calling because that can take away from the anxiety, but it can also help you to know how much you need to prepare for that class. If my one professor gets really, really detailed and wants me to know like quotes and stuff from the case, then I know for that class I need to spend extra time. If this other professor only asks about the facts, then for my own good I would definitely know more than the facts. But for cold calling I wouldn't be as nervous because I know they're only going to ask me the facts, which is pretty simple. Tip number 4. Pay attention to other people's cold calls. Now, this is supposed to be helpful. It's not supposed to make you more nervous. When you're listening in class and paying attention and other people are getting cold called on, let's say for hypos, and they answer in a certain way, their contribution is beneficial to the class. Maybe they got it wrong, right? But their contribution can still be beneficial in that they did get it wrong and the teacher will explain why that was wrong or move on to somebody else who might get it right. So then you see, okay, this was wrong, this was right. So when it comes to your turn of being cold called on, especially if it's for a hypo or whatever, then you understand, okay, well, this person answered it this way and this person answered this way, and you can get nuggets from their answers and that will help you formulate your answer. Also, it helps you because if that person said something and the professor was like, oh my god, what the hell are you doing? Like basically, like, no, like that was very, very wrong, and you say it again.
But why? Why would you do that? Why would you do any of that?
You don't want to do that. So pay attention to other people's cold call answers and the questions that they're being asked. Tip number 5 from me would be to try. Like I said in my other video about my horrible cold call fail, that was one of the only times that I really failed, and I hope it's one of the only times that I fail going forward. And it's because I didn't want to freak myself out, right? So after that, I decided, okay, I'm just going to be calm because I don't want to embarrass myself. But I also decided that I'm going to be extra prepared for each class. And even if I don't know the answer, I'm going to try. We're all smart people. That's how we're in law school. Some would beg to differ, but yeah, we all have a brain, okay? And if we did the readings, we're paying attention to what is going on in the class, and we are understanding, at least on a surface level, what's going on. Then when the professor cold calls you to answer a question, let's say it's a hypo, or how would you argue, or they want you to argue on the part of the defendant or on the part of the plaintiff, then you can try, right? You can deduce, you can make educated guesses. You can say, okay, well, in the case, this is how the plaintiffs argued. So obviously, if they're asking me to argue for the plaintiffs, then I should try to make a similar argument. If they're asking me to argue for the defendant, and in the case it didn't really lay out what the defendant's argument was, well, if this was the plaintiff's argument, then I can deduce that this would be the defendant's argument. And even if you're wrong, the professors appreciate it if you try. I cannot tell you how many times I've heard, "Professor, I didn't read for today, I don't know," or just like silence. And the silence I understand because the nerves can just take over your body, but "I didn't read for class today, professor," and those are like the people that say that, they usually say that more than once in the semester, and the professor knows who they are, and it's not good to have that reputation. So try, at least try. But if you're gonna give an answer that shows that you really tried, you've talked out maybe your thought process. If you can't get the answer right away, you're talking out, okay, I'm just gonna discuss the steps that my mind is going through so I can try and give you an answer. You do that. They like that because then that can be a teaching moment for the rest of the class. It won't look like you're dumb because there are probably other people in the class who maybe didn't understand or got lost at the same place that you got lost. But because you've talked out your thinking and your reasoning and you've tried, then they can teach based off of that. So at least try. Okay, so my last tip is be confident. Now, where does this confidence come from? This confidence comes from being prepared for class. This confidence comes from answering other questions, right? Or paying attention, or knowing that the professor is only going to ask you about the facts and you know the facts. Or briefing your cases properly and being very detailed with your study before you came to class. Going over your readings before class. Knowing that you have a brain and that's how you got into law school, so you can do this. Be confident. Even if you're wrong, okay? At least you said something. Okay? You don't have to be confident that you're going to be right every time. No. But at least people know that you prepared. And not everybody else, but the professor. The professor knows that you prepared. And maybe everybody else might be like, oh, she prepares. Or he prepares for class, you know. So be confident in yourself. Be confident in your abilities. You got this, boo. So that's all I have for you guys for this video. I hope you really enjoyed it and it was helpful to you all. I'm gonna make a video, I'll probably post it right after this one, about briefing my cases. So if you want to watch that, just go ahead and watch it. I don't know if I'll post them at the same time, but look out for that. It's coming, a video on how I brief my cases. And yeah, I'll see y'all next time. Please like, comment, share, and subscribe. And I'll talk to y'all next time. I appreciate y'all. We're here to grow together.